Yeah, 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 yeah.
I found it on Rhema Radio.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Rhema Radio. This is Jason and with me is Doreen.
Hi.
And today we have with us Brother Henry Wong from Sungai Subang Methodist Church.
Yes, and since you started with that,
Yeah.
Brother Henry Wong,
Yes.
I'm going to continue with that, is the head of the Bangladesh missions for SSMC. Now, why this is important is because SSMC is traditionally a mission-oriented church, fair to say so?
Yes, that would be correct.
And what SSME stands for Sungai Subang Methodist Church.
Right.
Yes, and it's also interesting to note that, and you were telling me this off air, is that SSMC is part of a larger picture of the Methodist churches.
That's right.
Okay, so now, being the head of the Bangladesh missions for SSMC, before I start with the question, I'm just going to give you a couple of quick facts, for the listeners to sort of tune in to where we are in Bangladesh right now. Population of Bangladesh, unlike Malaysia, is 169 million people, making them the 8th most populous country in the world. Ethnically, there are 98% Bengalis and 2% minorities, which interestingly enough included Chinese. I was very surprised to see that on the list.
Chinese are everywhere.
Yeah, I know.
Everywhere.
Isn't that amazing? Religious affiliations, right? They are 86% Muslim, 12% Hindu, 0.6% Buddhist, and 0.3% Christian. Capital city of Bangladesh is Dhaka, and the official language is Bangla.
Yeah. And I know, sometimes in church we are told to, we are asked to pray for a people group or a different country, but it seems far away.
Yeah.
And we are encouraged to go for missions and things like that. But some of us do that. But what Brother Henry has done is actually he has been going to Bangladesh for the past 15 years. 15 years. And it's really something that's a real burden and passion in his heart. And that's why we have him today with us to talk about his experience with this ministry. Yeah. But maybe before we go into that, heavy stuff, maybe just a bit of background for the listeners, who Henry Wong is. Where do you come from, and what's your background?
Oh, I'm traditionally a Penang guy.
Penang.
Yes.
Another Penang guy.
And all those Penang listeners out there go, yeah.
You know what the saying goes, right? People from Penang are successful. I always hear this.
Really?
Are you from Penang, Jason?
No, I'm not from Penang.
Oh, that's why you
I'm-
are. That's why you haven't heard this.
My next question was successful in what?
Yes.
In what?
Let me tell you.
In cooking, I'm sure. Cooking is confirmed,
So what are you?
Politically
So
correct.
what are you successful at?
Yeah. Luis
Henry?
Palau, famous evangelist, Luis Palau says, success is what pleases God.
There you go. See?
Okay, I'm sure Jason is also successful. Okay,
Thank you
so
for the affirmation.
actually for the first half of my working life, I was in Penang, and then I think in 93, we moved over to the Klang Valley, and we've been here since then. Both my wife and I, we have retired about 3 years plus, and like many people tell us, you are not retired, you are refired. So here we are again, and working as hard as ever. But I must confess, once in a while we get to sleep to 10:30.
Only once in a
Don't tell
while.
anyone. Yeah, we tell.
Only once in a while.
Be our secret. Okay,
Yeah.
So
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, we are really glad to have you here, and actually we want to hear your thought process and what was it that what the things that we can learn from you, in terms of having a heart of mission. We have the Great Commission,
Yes.
and sometimes we just say it, and churches sometimes we have it once in a while as a mission conference or whatnot, but it really should be a lifestyle, isn't it? Yeah,
Yes.
it's a lifestyle of a mission. So how did you start off? Maybe tell us about your very first trip to Bangladesh. How did that come about? Was it a long time of deliberation? Share with us.
Okay, let me tell about the first trip we had. I went to Bangladesh. They had planes already by then.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Oh, yes.
This was in
15 years ago.
2019 or 18 something.
Right.
18.
So you didn't
This is
row a
about
boat.
15 years. So some of you might know this is within the DNA of SSMC, and generally most people at some point or another, would have gone on a mission trip, short term, nearby, within the country or outside. And
So this is already a church culture. an
yes,
SSMC.
that's right.
And just before you get into that, how long has SSMC been around?
We celebrated our 41 years last year.
Okay,
41
right.
Okay.
Continue,
and
please.
mission has been a priority since.
Yes, has always been our main focus, apart from other things, of course. But missions, as we know, is just not just funding full-time missionaries, not just sending people. It's praying, it's going, it's
actually
partnering,
going, yes.
and walking with your partners. I think the saddest thing some churches do is to go to a foreign place and establish an exact duplicate of your church there. This would be a great mistake.
So you don't think that works? It
no,
has to be very locally
That's
oriented
right,
for their
that's
needs.
right.
Yeah.
Many years ago, the founding pastor of SSMC, Pastor Pua, he has been to Bangladesh way ahead of me. But when the Methodist Church leadership asked him, "So, what are you doing in Bangladesh?" He answered rather candidly, "I can tell you what I'm not doing." He said, "I'm not establishing a Methodist church. I'm not establishing a
Another
clone
SSMC.
of SSMC."
So what is so can you give us some practical examples of how that
Yes.
would work?
When we started, which would be about almost 20 years ago, with this young man, his name is Philip Adhikari, and he was an ordained Baptist minister, and then he went out to start his own church. He had only 2 churches, about 80 members. This was 15, 18 years ago. And today, he has 2,500 churches, 125,000 baptized members.
Wow, can you just say
means
that again? 2,500, not members. This
Churches,
is
churches. And he has 125,000 baptized members. That means his attendance is higher than that. And of course, in our context and even in Bangladesh, the church is not a building. It's a gathering of people. And very often the rural churches are meeting in the village head's house or under the tree and all that. But it's amazing how the Lord has blessed them, and how can you imagine a country like Bangladesh? The growth is so great and amazing, and we are so privileged to be part of this, walking alongside with them and seeing them grow over the years.
And this was in a span of how many years?
In the span of 18 years.
18
Oh
years.
my gosh,
Amazing.
Jason, can you imagine?
exponential
Can you
growth.
imagine if that happened in Malaysia?
Yes.
That would be amazing.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yes. So actually, we thank God the window of opportunity is still open in Bangladesh, even with the present government. You are allowed to openly evangelize to anyone, regardless of their religious traditions, except they are a bit wary now of foreigners coming into the picture. So if I'm foreign looking and they catch me trying to share the gospel to someone of another faith in the city of Dhaka, we might be in a little bit of trouble.
So I guess it helps that we are Asians. I guess that we can blend in and look.
Yeah,
a bit
I look
more
Bangla,
as-
right?
You claim
Luckily,
No, I
you're
don't.
on a radio show. Can't see.
No, he does not.
no,
He does
just
not.
claim
But
to
you-
be
but
one of
just
the
now-
minorities.
Yeah,
the 2% minority.
Yeah, Doreen mentioned that a lot of Chinese there as well.
In addition to your statistics, by the way, in addition to the 169 million, do you know there are 8 million diaspora, 8 million Bangladeshis outside?
Okay, so that's
Bangladesh.
actually 177 million population. Wow,
Yes,
that's a
8
huge
million
country
of
in
them
terms of
are
number.
outside.
You don't have that much land to work with. I mean, for that number of people.
Actually, if the first thing that strikes you, whether it's in the urban or rural setting, when you go to Bangladesh, is people.
Congestion.
Masses and masses
Congestion
of
and
people.
congestion everywhere.
And when you drive up country, they say, okay, we are passing this little village. An average village is 1 million people,
Oh my gosh, that's like a city for us. That's a city.
So
for
it's just the
Taling Jaya.
masses, So coming back to my first to your question,
Yeah,
my
have it-
first
yeah,
visit,
the very first
we
visit.
actually had a group of maybe 4 or 5 people ready to go on that first trip 15 years ago, but due to various reasons, they didn't make it, and I ended up with just the founding pastor, Pastor Pua, 2 of us. Me, a rookie, don't even know where Bangladesh is, must look at the map. Those days, no Google Map yet, of course. But looking back, it was such a privilege, such an opportunity, to go with somebody who has so much passion and who knows so much about it.
And to learn.
Watching him, walking with him, learning with him was just, and over the years, it has been my privilege that most of the trips he has also been with us. And it's just amazing.
What was your first impression when the plane landed and then you stepped out and you saw this land called Bangladesh?
Yeah.
What was it that caught your attention first?
Actually, at that time they didn't have aero bridge yet, so we had to walk
Okay.
and the name of the airport has changed a couple of times since then, but never mind. So we went, but they had trolleys already for the luggage, so the whole row of trolleys was there. And the moment, with a jerk, you pull out the trolley, and 3,000 mosquitoes flew out.
Oh my gosh.
Only 3,000. But,
Okay, so Bangladesh is a land of mosquitoes as well.
yeah, then, now I think maybe 2,900
maybe
mosquitoes.
2,900.
What happened?
The number has
Urbanization.
Yeah. They too migrated. Sorry.
They too went out.
No, but
diaspora.
seriously, over the years, as we go up country, we had to stay in the pastor's home or in some school building, and no indoor plumbing, tube wells and all that, and small things that touch our hearts. Even the pastor is a one-room house, so he and his family would shift themselves and sleep in the kitchen, while the hall, which is also their bedroom, was open to us to stay. And such sacrifice, and whatever they had, they would share with us. But now the Lord has blessed them, and they have nice buildings, indoor plumbing, and in the city they even have aircons in some of the dormitories.
I'm glad you brought that up, the pastor and how he lives and all of that, because that actually is a lead into my next question.
Yes.
And that was to tell us more. This is the final question before we go for a short break. Tell us more about the Bangladeshi people. We want to know what they are like. I'm
Yes.
assuming they're not like us.
Okay. So firstly, I think we need to see that we have the urban people in Dhaka. Like most major cities, there's this urban shift. Everybody from the village wants to make it big in the city, so they move to the city. And of course, not many of them make it. They have no skills, no talents, no connections. But if you go to the rural areas, many of our pastors there are also farmers, are also people who work in the rural industry. So usually they do have a job, planting rice, wheat, and other things. And they are also pastoring churches. So we can see that they really know what it means to be a tent maker in that aspect. And over the years, this work in Bangladesh is not just building churches. I think after the break, we'll go into the various areas whereby we are walking alongside them. Mission schools, children's homes, microcredit, and even offering employment in factories. And so you see, it's not just shoving John 3:16 down their throats, but no, taking care of their immediate
more
needs,
holistic
walking with them, and one day they'll ask, why are you doing this?
Right, to draw that question from them. Okay, we've been listening to Henry Wong. Stay with us. We're going to go for a short break and we'll be right back.
I found it on Rhema Radio.
Hi, did God do something great in your life today?
Or do you have a God story you want to tell someone?
We have just the place for you. Send us your story at Christianity Malaysia today.
That's right. The story you share might just be the word that someone out there needs to hear.
Send us your story today at editor@christianitymalaysia.com.
Welcome back to Rhema Radio, and today we have with us Henry Wong, and he shared with us earlier about his first experience going to Bangladesh, and he's been 15 years since that first trip, and he's been going faithfully since then. And right now I want to talk to Henry a bit more about his perception of the people that he's been reaching out to, maybe when he sees Bangladeshi in Malaysia. How has his mission experience changed his worldview in that sense in Malaysia?
Good one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so of course, over the 15 years, we have learned some words in Bangla.
Do you
Can you
speak? Do you
speak?
speak Bangladeshi?
No, we can't speak all, but we know the keywords like hello, how are you, what's your name, and things like that.
Okay.
So, and you'll be surprised when you have these encounters with the migrant workers, say a Bangladeshi worker at the petrol station, or when he's serving you food at a restaurant. You look at him in the eyes and you ask, Amnara Kamunasin, it means, how are you?
Okay, let's repeat that. Let's repeat that so that we can also pick up on these things.
Yes,
Yeah.
Amnara
Amnara
Kamunasin.
Kamunasin.
Okay,
means
what does
how
that
are
mean?
you?
How are you? Okay, so
And then-
Amnara Kamunasin.
And he will say, Kup Balu, very good.
And here's where you say, sorry, I cannot speak anymore.
That's right. No. Okay, correct. That's the part. No, but they are so impressed. But seriously, the thing that strikes them most is when you say those words, his eyes light up, and then there's a whole demeanor about him, and he goes on hesitatingly to ask, "Sir, you speak so well. You go to Bangladesh," and you tell him, "Yes, I've been." And for them, it's amazing. Why would anybody want to go to Bangladesh?
Why?
The reason is why? Because we have a burden. They are just as important. God loves them as much as loving you and me. And before you know it, he starts telling which part of Bangladesh he's from, how long he's been here, and suddenly there's a whole new meaning. And in many ways, you have just made his day.
Yeah.
Yes, all these years.
So you've suddenly, he suddenly feels that he's been treated respectfully or with dignity.
Correct,
he's been given some form of validation.
Yeah, correct. And you
Okay.
call him Bundu, friend,
Okay.
Next time you see some...
Amnara
Kamunasin.
Kamunasin,
Yeah,
Bundu.
we'll call you Doreen
Bundu.
Bundu.
Yes, okay,
Yeah,
Jason
friend
Bundu.
Bundu
Yeah.
sounds a bit. So Bundu.
Some Chinese
Okay.
dialect doesn't sound too good. Not Gundu, Bundu.
Bundu.
Don't get it wrong, Jason.
Alright,
Henry
Doreen.
Bundu, Jason Bundu, and Doreen Bundu.
And over a while,
Okay.
after time, you see them, as somebody who also has a family back home and all that. Which leads us to the next issue, which the church in Bangladesh, the church in Nepal is addressing, the issue of absentee fathers,
Okay.
absentee husbands, because so many of them are out of the country.
It's a vicious cycle, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So many of them are out of the country working.
Working, that's right. And
Like-
of course, social issues and all that, and not everyone has a good ending.
And many of them are here because they are trying to make a better living
That's
for
right.
themselves.
Correct.
I mean, for their families. And yeah, it's right. When we talk about holidays, we don't say like, "Hey, I'm going for holiday. Where are you going to Bangladesh?"
Yeah,
it's
I
not.
know.
It's not
I
like the
must
number
admit,
one
I've never
Yeah,
thought of that
destination.
as a holiday. Yeah.
destination.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So, for example, 2 years ago, we were in Kathmandu sharing with some of the Nepali pastors.
Yeah.
And they tell us the statistics is 3,000 Nepali men every day leave on the plane to go and work somewhere.
What?
Can
That's
you
in
believe?
that's
that's
Nepal.
all.
Nepal.
Yeah, in Nepal. Either Saudi Arabia, even Malaysia, and all.
3,000 men every day.
And they are very
gone.
conscious.
That's like going to war.
Yeah, that's a lot, And
Nepalis, right?
thank God they have Skype now, every night or once a week. They encourage the children to talk, to see.
But still,
But still nothing beats a face-to-face and the physical presence
I know. That's
of
so
a
sad,
father.
right?
So we
That's
need
very
to really
difficult.
look into this, pray for them, and somehow, the church can play a part to
Yeah. It's something
address
yeah.
this issue.
It's something that I'm consciously trying to do more and more because growing up also, we kind of have this cultural because as Asian also we are a bit more shy in that sense. We don't actually go and talk to strangers, right? Even within Malaysians, between Malaysians.
Don't even say in church.
In church, yeah,
Too.
even in church, yeah. Sometimes
also.
we just
House
avoid
and yes,
eye
true.
contact
It's
and
no,
things
it's
like that.
true.
True,
Sometimes
it's
you just
true.
see a new face and you're a bit hesitant, you know, and
and what more for people who are doing
Yeah.
the dishes, I mean doing the our
Yes.
petrol attendant and our guards. So sometimes
Domestic helpers.
exactly. So I've been guilty of that. I mean, growing up, I kind of sometimes we just ignore, like they don't even exist in a sense. And I mean, these days when I see them, I try, if I have the time, I'll try to just
Acknowledge,
look
right?
at
At
them
least
in the eye and
acknowledge,
have a conversation
yeah.
like you, Henry. Have a conversation. And just a couple of weeks back, I talked to a Nepalese guard.
Yeah.
Just to have, and they're really friendly people.
Yes.
They're really, really down to earth, especially Nepalese. To me, I feel they're very down to earth and they're very friendly. They have a smile always, and they're very serious about their work. And then when I talked to him, he also shared that I asked him how long is his working hours. He's like, wow, the whole day.
Yeah, very long hours.
Very long
And then some of
hours.
them go from place to place, so they
Exactly.
don't even have a break.
Correct.
Exactly.
They hold more than one job. Yes.
exactly. I've heard of those as well. And
talking
I often
about
wondered.
talking about break, and then I asked him when do you get a break. He said, he has a break once a month. Once a month they get it.
Wow.
Sad, man.
How sad.
Yeah.
You know, none of us would be able to. I mean, we cannot imagine living under those conditions. But I think the reality is that millions and millions have to live under those conditions, and it's almost like a way of life for them. They accept it, and you know, this brings us to the next part of our conversation. You know, what else? You know, besides the things that Jason has mentioned, what else can we do as Malaysians? You know, because what we see is migrant workers from so many countries in Asia coming to our shores.
Yes, you don't really have to go to a foreign country to be engaged in missions. We can really, and it begins with each one of us. I think individually first, we have to change that mindset, that perception.
Of them as individuals.
That's right.
and
We
as
often see them
people.
as nameless people who serve you, who
Workers.
pump petrol,
Yeah.
and you know, we don't even know whether it's a different fellow or it's the same guy. For example, there's this Bangladesh fellow who is been working in this workshop, car workshop that I go to. He's been there almost 12 years now. He's improved himself. That he's now the chief clerk and sort of doing the accounting and all that. And I talked to him, and when he found out that I was going on a regular, he started talking about his family, his life, and when I returned on one trip, I bought him little crispies. They have those things, almost like muruku, but it's the Bangla version.
Okay.
And I gave him just that packet. He was almost in tears. He said, "This is what I've been waiting for. The ones in that shop there, not the same. This, I will take this and eat slowly." And he called his other friend. And it was just a 25-cent packet of Crispies. But that connection at that moment, I think we touched each other's hearts.
So it was a really small gesture, but then it made such a big difference.
To him,
such a
you
big
took the
impact.
trouble to buy. You
Yeah.
took the trouble to come and see me, and to
Sure.
give me and to find out this is something we really like. So
But when you share that with me, I mean, with us, is it common though that migrant workers here get to kind of escalate in their careers? Like you said, he was common. Is that common, or because I sometimes also feel that they have there's
glass ceiling.
there's a ceiling there.
Glass
That's
ceiling,
because
yes.
And the glass ceiling is really low.
Yes, I think it's true, but he would represent the minority really. The boss trusted him so much. He probably started as a mechanic changing oil and tires, but over time his Bahasa is fluent and he speaks good English. Better English than the boss, actually. And I think
not
he has shown,
mention which workshop this is, okay?
and he has shown himself to be trustworthy. I think that
capable.
is the key. They need people who trust. There are a lot of competent foreign workers, but the bosses need somebody they can trust.
Right. Now, just hold that thought because we're just going for a short break and we'll be right back. Welcome back. We're still with Henry Wong, who is from SSMC, and he has just been regaling us with tales about. He's grimacing now. Okay, but we're gonna continue. Okay, reminiscing.
It's reminiscing and grimacing, yes.
yes, about Bangladesh, and yes, you want to share with us, what you do in Bangladesh.
Right, okay.
Yeah, especially for those who are contemplating missions.
Right, okay.
Maybe they keep hearing in churches, "Hey, go for mission, sign up today."
Right.
But then they have this, I don't know, fear or misconceptions and
Hesitation,
whatnot.
yes.
So maybe just share with us. Maybe it's specifically to Bangladesh because different country would have, it will
Slightly
be different for those who do
work.
missions
Yeah,
to
correct.
to the.
But
to
it will give you
Europe, pointing at that,
some
yeah.
ideas on what you as a church, you as an individual can do. For example, the work we do in Bangladesh, there are two parts. One is with 3 different partners who are engaged in working with majority groups. So I cannot give you too many details due to the sensitive nature, but this is mainly to the south of Dhaka where there are a lot of majority groups and they are very open actually to the gospel, and we train the local pastors and Pastor Paul himself on different techniques how to connect with them in sharing the gospel to these majority groups. The other work we have is with this group called Takumi Ministries. And
That's from the Bible, isn't it? That's from the
Talita Kumi is from the Bible. It says, "Arise, child,"
Arise, child,
Jairus'
that's right.
daughter. So here they have one aspect is they have license for mission schools. Okay, so mission schools are highly regarded in Bangladesh. After international schools, we have already mission schools. Then we have the government schools.
I see.
So he runs it very professionally.
Yep.
2 sessions, morning and afternoon. In the morning, he would charge what is the going market rate for a mission school? Let's say $20 a month.
Right.
And in the afternoon, the same teachers, the same curriculum, he would save that afternoon sessions for the poorer people, for example, in the slum areas, those who cannot afford, and at a very reduced rate. He has learned something, never give it free. Charge them a small token amount.
So they think
Commitment.
so that they build some kind of
Yes,
loyalty or commitment.
And also a self-esteem. I'm paying for my child's education and not going for a freebie.
Right,
And it
and I'm
also
paying,
builds
so you better go.
commitment.
Yeah.
And no matter what, the poorest of the poor, they will always set aside some money for the child's education.
Really? So it's really a valuable aspect.
That's
in,
right. And they believe, and rightly so, that a good education is the key to end the poverty cycle. And we have seen with our own eyes, many of them, 15 years we have been there, from kids, from toddlers, from teenagers, assimilated into the working, into the corporate world, many of them. And we thank God for that. So we have the mission schools. And then they also have children's homes. This is throughout the country, not just in Dhaka itself. Over the years, God has blessed them with funds and from various ones and their own funds. They have built buildings in various parts. In fact, in the villages, usually their building would be the tallest in the village, a 6-story building. In fact, most of the time, the telco companies use the top of their building as their towers, and they get about $100 a month for that. Praise God. Okay,
nice.
So the mission schools, the children's homes are again two parts. They have residential homes and they have community-based. But with the residential homes, of course, we have more input with the children, and of course, education 24 hours. They have
Right.
minders. But the challenge would be to find really committed minders who are willing to stay and to work and to look after the children holistically.
Wonderful.
What would you say are the needs? I mean, if say felt needs, because sometimes mission people just go and then they just do whatever they feel that is a need.
Yeah.
But then a need is something that is from the people themselves.
Yes.
What do you think are the need right now
Okay,
for Bangladeshis?
I think for many people, they think money, they just send, money and that's it, and you do
It's
what
sort
you
of
can.
an easy way of,
But still,
Still
we
important,
thank
it's
God
one
there are
aspect.
people, but frankly, I think money is not the key, is the number one priority of there are many people, organizations, individuals who give freely to them, especially a country like Bangladesh. What they really need are people, churches, fellow believers to walk alongside their leaders, to train them, to equip them, and over the years to be a friend. And that's what SSMC is doing. Twice a year, or at least once a year, we hold what is called a pastors' conference, and we gather maybe 60 to 80 pastors, seniors, juniors, superintendents, and we equip them on topical studies, on book studies, leadership tips, and simple things like church administration. And that they have found it very useful.
So it's like teaching them how to fish, not giving them the fish
Correct.
type of analogy, if I
And
may.
also the danger, which I personally am guilty of in the early years, we go there and we teach in a condescending manner.
Talk down,
we
yeah.
talk down to them, and we somehow have this, if a person can't speak English, is not so smart. That's how wrong I was, and because we cannot speak fluently, can't speak at all actually, we have to go through an interpreter, and sometimes a bit is lost in the translation, but
Sure.
never mind, even if 20% they have caught it, the amazing part is immediately when they go back, they in turn teach their leaders and they practice it. I think that is the encouraging part. And the other aspect of work that we can do, so you can go. Many of us are in the Klang Valley, we are so blessed, we attend conferences, teaching, we have small groups, and you just a topical study, you can go and teach them already, And whatever little you learn is so important.
Right. Well,
And then we have children's work. So we have VBS.
Yeah.
We give a Bangla version of Vacation Bible School to them.
Wow.
And with lots of craft and all that. And it is so... And over the years, we have seen these children actually grow. Many of them are 14 years old and 16 years old now. When we last saw them, they were just toddlers.
right.
And of course, there were some who go back not all of them are biological orphans.
Okay.
Some of them during December they go back to their homes.
Yeah.
And the sad part is they don't return. Why? Because the parents at 14 try to marry them off.
Okay.
Okay.
It is okay if they get married to nice Christian men or others who are,
Yeah.
but there are occasions, and more than often, too often, they end up with the slave traffickers
Okay.
with promises of jobs in the city.
And that
or
never
elsewhere,
materialize.
and-
Well, that materializes in a bad way.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they will never see their child again or whatever promises of money. And we are so sad, whenever we ask, hey, where's Lakshmi? And gone already, married. 14 years old, yes. Although child marriage is illegal, but it
Right.
is still practiced. So we need to input whatever we can while the window of opportunity is there.
There's a lot of brokenness and a lot
Yes.
of
Yeah.
things that are
Correct.
some seemingly out of their control, but then also it's something that I think if we go there, we can, share God's love.
Yes,
That's one thing.
correct.
God's hope. The hope in the word from the Bible to even weather through it and even overcome
That's right.
it.
Correct.
Now, I'm afraid we're running out of time, but do you just want to close this session by sharing what's on your mind with our listeners?
Okay, so for those of you who are thinking, is going on a mission trip for me or not, I would say yes. There are many things you can do just by being there, holding up a picture for the kids, playing with them, sharing some topic you have learned in church, and basically walking with them to show that people from another country cares and we are with you. But we respect your culture, your way of doing things. But at the end of the day, we are all in the body of Christ.
Sure.
Amen. Thanks for sharing that. We've been listening to Henry Wong, the head of Bangladesh missions for SSMC, and you've been listening to Jason and Doreen signing off.
This segment's episode features music by Sharon Amrita.
When I was lost, you were my guide. When I was blind, you gave me sight. When I was wrong, you taught me what was right. So here I am. When I was hurt, you made me whole. When I had sinned, you cleansed my soul. When I had strayed, you led me back to you. So here I stand, here to praise and here to thank. Faithful God, unchanging love. In the wisdom of your ways, you have poured forth your grace. Faithful God, unchanging love. I will lift my hands and praise. Faithful God. When I was lost, you were my guide. When I was blind, you gave me sight. When I was wrong, you taught me what was right. So here I am. When I was hurt, you made me whole. When I had sinned, you cleansed my soul. When I had strayed, you led me back to you. So here I stand, here to praise and here to thank. Faithful God, unchanging love. Unto you, my God and King, all my heart and soul I bring. Faithful God, unchanging love. I will lift my hands and sing, faithful God. Though my eyes could not see that it was you guiding me, yet you pursued me and you reached out to me. Though I did not understand that my life was in your plan, through it all you led me by your mighty hand. You're my Savior and you are my faithful friend. unchanging love. Unto you, my God and King, all my heart and soul I bring. Faithful God, unchanging love.
Today's episode is edited and mixed by Veronica Ng.
Faithful God.
We'd love to hear from you, especially if you have a testimony to share. Write to us at hello@rhemarad.io. Don't miss out on the sermon by Pastor Ron He at New Life Restoration Center, PJ, in the next segment.
Faithful God.
You're listening to Rhema Radio.